If you actually believe that YouTube pushes videos randomly, that belief is exactly why your channel feels stuck. YouTube isn't guessing. They're not rolling the dice. They're not favoriting the big channels and they're ignoring my small channel, Adam. What's actually happening is way more surgical than that. And I'm about to show you exactly what it is. See, your audience exists on YouTube right now. They're active. They're watching videos day in and day out. They're searching for answers that you could give them. They're looking for content that you could provide them. The problem isn't that YouTube won't show your content to them. The problem is that YouTube hasn't learned who your content is for yet. And until it does, your videos, unfortunately, stay invisible, no matter how good they are, no matter how much time, effort, resources you put into them. So in this video, I'm breaking down how YouTube actually decides who sees your videos, when it shows it to them, and why some creators seem to just match up with their audiences instantly, while others stay buried for years. But first, we need to destroy the biggest myth. Now, I've spent 14 years on YouTube and I've built my main channel to more than 300,000 subscribers at this point, 21 million plus views, and it's generated almost $4 million. Now, what I'm about to show you isn't theory. It's the exact patterns that I've used on my channels, my clients, and across every niche I've studied. And once you see it, you'll never look at YouTube the same way again. Now, I promise that I'm going to do my best to make this all super easy to understand. So let me know how I do in the comments once you've watched the video. Now, YouTube as a platform, it doesn't explore. It's not really a tastemaker. It investigates more than anything. And most creators think that YouTube's job is to discover their content and then throw it at random people to see what happens. And that's wrong. That's not how any of this works. YouTube is massively risk averse. It doesn't randomly test your video to millions of viewers to see what sticks. That would burn through a ton of server costs, waste people's time, and honestly, I think it would piss off a lot of viewers. Instead, YouTube expands our reach only when the evidence is clear, when it's undeniable. Just think about it for a second. YouTube has billions of videos and billions of viewers. Its entire mission is to keep people on the platform for as long as possible because that's how they make their money, right? So it can't afford to show the wrong video to the wrong person. Every recommendation has to feel like it was made just for them. But YouTube can't do that if it doesn't know who your video is made for. So it starts small. It shows your video to maybe like 100 people, maybe 500, and it watches what happens. Not just clicks, not just watch time. YouTube is collecting evidence. And that evidence answers one question that determines everything. Now, I know this might sound crazy and it's going to upset some of you guys, but YouTube really doesn't care if your video is good. Doesn't matter how long you spent on the edit. Doesn't matter how much you spent on the camera. All that it cares about is that your video is good for someone specifically. And that's the entire game right there, because good means nothing without context. Now, just think about this. I'm going to give you an example here. I can make the world's greatest video about setting up Facebook ads. It's the most in-depth, helpful, impactful, respects people's time. Thumbnails look great. Title looks great. Everything looks amazing. That video is going to perform very well for digital marketers, entrepreneurs, business owners, probably agencies, and a few other, kind of adjacent fields. But that video is completely useless to a grandma looking for a gluten-free brownie recipe today, or a yoga instructor looking for studio inspiration content. See, YouTube doesn't have some universal quality score on our content. It ranks how well your video matches with a specific behavioral profile. Now, here's how it builds that profile. When someone clicks on your video, YouTube is instantly analyzing. What else has that person watched in the last 48 hours? What did they search for today? How long do they typically watch videos like this? And what did they do after they clicked on your video? Did they click on your channel? Did they watch another video from an end screen? Did they leave YouTube completely? Every action I just mentioned is a clue. YouTube isn't building a profile of you. I need you to understand that. It's building a profile of the person watching you. And once it sees enough overlap between viewers, it knows exactly which group you belong to. And that group, that's not random people. That's something way more powerful. See, YouTube doesn't see viewers, it sees clusters. And let me show you what I mean. When 100 people watch your video about, growing a YouTube channel, YouTube isn't thinking, cool, 100 views. They're thinking, these 100 people also binge watched videos about marketing funnels and content strategy, entrepreneurship in the last 72 hours. They skipped videos about gaming, beauty tutorials, movie reviews. They watched a 10-minute video at 1.5 speed. They comment on business growth content. See? These are patterns of behaviors. That's a cluster. And when YouTube confirms that your video resonates with that cluster, meaning high click-through rate, great average view duration, shares, engagement, and so forth, it's going to show that video to the other 50,000 people that are in that same cluster. That's how channels seem to blow up overnight. It's not luck. It's cluster recognition per se. And everything I'm explaining right now happened in real time on the channel that you're watching right now. I started from absolute zero less than a year ago. I didn't tell my main audience. I didn't promote it anywhere. I didn't send out emails or post about it on social media. I just uploaded. I put my nose down and got to work. In those first 5 videos, that was a very humbling experience. I got 100 views. I think a couple of them might have got 200 or 300 views. But video number 6, that's when YouTube started figuring out my clusters. And that video did more than 20,000 views. I'm the same guy, same camera, same value. The only difference is that YouTube finally knew which clusters I belonged to. Now, as of shooting this video, this channel that you're watching right now has 32 videos, no shorts, 22,000 subscribers and counting, over 600,000 views, and it generated real revenue before I even had a sales page active. And by the way, I put everything that you need into my Ultimate YouTube Growth Guide, which is a perfect companion for all of my videos here on this channel, and it's totally free. In the last 3 months alone, we now have over 5,000 people, which is surreal, who have downloaded that guide. And I appreciate all the thank you emails and the shout outs on Instagram and the DMs and whatnot. It's really awesome being able to see how many people that this has helped so far. So if you want to take your channel to the next level, click on the link in the description box below, download the guide, do something with it, and enjoy. Now, here's what frustrates most creators, because even with good content, you could still feel completely invisible. I've seen all the comments on videos. I go and check out their channel. I'm like, this is actually pretty good. I can understand the frustration. But there's one reason that trumps everything else here: confusion. Confusion kills reach faster than bad quality ever could. And I've seen creators with cinematic productions and beautiful thumbnails and genuinely valuable content that are stuck at like 100 views, 150 if they're lucky. Meanwhile, someone with decent editing and I guess average thumbnails are pulling 10,000 views consistently. So what's the difference? Well, I believe that the second creator made it super obvious who they serve, and YouTube has no confusion with what they're doing. Okay, so I think it's super important to understand that YouTube is really just like a matchmaker. That's all the algorithm is. It's a preference engine. And any good matchmaker needs clarity to make proper introductions. So if your last 10 videos are a scattering of productivity and mindset and camera gear and fitness and vlogs and AI tools, like, you're not giving YouTube a cluster to connect you with. That's the problem. It's like you're walking into a room and changing your entire personality every 5 minutes. Nobody knows if you're their person, if you're genuine, what to think of you. And YouTube works exactly the same way. Real quick, I have to add a disclaimer here. If you're running a faceless AI content channel, right? I know a lot of the dipshit gurus are telling you to do that. It's going to be super successful. Anyway, you have these visuals, the voice, the music, the thumbnails, everything is AI. You kind of don't exist on your own channel. Or you might have a channel that compiles a lot of clips from, copyrighted material, gameplay, reviews, commentary channels. Like, this video is definitely going to help you understand the system, but those are the hardest channels to grow regardless of your strategy. I just want to make that clear. The most powerful way to do any of this is when you are what makes the content different. Your voice, your perspective, your experience. Because here's what most creators miss. YouTube doesn't just test whether or not your video is good enough. It's running a much more nuanced evaluation of that content. YouTube doesn't just hand out passes or fails. It's not black or white like that. It's essentially giving you a trust score. And here's how that actually works. When you upload, YouTube shows that video to a small test group, maybe 100 to 500 people. Now, based on their behavior, YouTube decides how much it trusts your content. Now, when YouTube runs that test, if it determines that your video is not really trustworthy, it's not going to show it to anybody outside of that initial test. That's why so many videos get stuck at 100, 150, 200 views, and they kind of just die quietly. Now, if we take a half step up, you get a little bit more traction in that test. That would be looked at as, I guess, like cautious trust. They're going to slowly expand the reach. They're going to trickle some views into your video, and they're going to be watching to see if that signal holds. That's exactly what happened to that 6th video here on this channel that I mentioned a couple minutes ago, as you could see here. Now, moderate trust leads to steady growth. YouTube keeps testing, keeps expanding the reach, but it's not quite confident enough to go big yet. But once you do hit that high trust, instant increase in your growth, your reach, everything changes. YouTube opens the floodgates because the signal has been so strong, so undeniable, and so consistent that it's willing to bet big immediately, which is, this channel is experiencing that more and more consistently as well, which has been super exciting. Now, the difference between moderate trust and high trust isn't necessarily better thumbnails or better editing. It's how fast and how clearly your video proves who it is for. If your click-through rate is decent and most people watch half your video, you'll get moderate trust and YouTube will continue to expand your reach. It'll just be a little bit more slowly. But if your click-through rate is through the roof and people watch most of your videos and they click on another one of your videos at the end of your videos, That's high trust. YouTube sees that and thinks, this is exactly what this cluster wants. Show it to everybody. And I've seen this time and time again. I've had my hands on several channels, clients that averaged 80, 150, 250 views per video. And just within a few uploads, now averaging over 1,000 views per video once you engineer that trust signal that YouTube is looking for. One of my clients is in the business coaching space, and we doubled their subscriber count in 90 days because YouTube finally trusted who they were for. Before that, it was kind of all over the place. So what builds that trust fast? What makes YouTube confident enough to scale your channel immediately? 3 very specific signals. All right, so if you want YouTube to trust you, you have to give YouTube proof. Here are 3 signals that YouTube's looking for to give you a higher trust score, right? Signal number 1 is topic consistency. YouTube needs to see a pattern. If you're talking about email marketing and then your morning supplement stack for your fitness routine and then productivity apps that are all over the place and random, YouTube cannot build a profile for you. It doesn't know which cluster you belong to. But if your 5 videos are all about serving entrepreneurs who want to grow through content marketing, for example, YouTube recognizes the pattern immediately. Now it knows exactly who to introduce you to. Now, signal number 2 is viewer overlap. YouTube looks at who's watching your videos and asks, what else are these people watching? If the same person watches you and they're also watching other creators in your space, then YouTube can map you into that ecosystem very seamlessly and easily. That's why niche clarity matters so much here on YouTube. The clearer your focus, the easier it is for YouTube to see that overlap and expand your reach. Now, signal number 3 is relative retention. And this is not about absolute watch time here. I need to make that very clear. This is about how you perform compared to other similar videos in your space. If the average 12-minute video in your niche gets 40% retention and yours hits 55% retention, YouTube sees that as a massive win. You don't need people watching every second. You need them watching more than they normally would. That tells YouTube this creator holds attention better than most. Let's show this everywhere. And those 3 signals are what YouTube uses to build that trust score. Easy as that. But there's one mistake that resets everything. I should know I made it for 8 years straight. Something I want you guys to understand and take home with you today is that every time you pivot topics outside of your core focus on your channel, YouTube has to start over. And that reset can cost you years of frustration. I know because I lived it. For 8 years on my main channel, I tried everything. I did product reviews, parody videos, music production tutorials, comedy sketches. I even did pop culture commentary videos, which are on private. You will never see those. Super cringe. I thought I was being smart. I was testing. I was experimenting to see what people wanted. But what I was actually doing was training YouTube to distrust me, to give me a super low trust score. Because every time I changed topics, YouTube had to restart the whole matchmaking process from scratch. It took me 8 years to hit 50,000 subscribers. Then in 2016, I went deaf in my left ear, and that moment forced me to make a decision. I had to stop scattering my focus everywhere, and I got super intentional. I picked one audience, one that I knew very well since I had been living in it. Musicians who wanted to build a real sustainable career by growing their fan base, developing business systems around what they were doing, and maximizing their impact. I focused on the same topic, same message, same value. And in 18 months from that point, I went from 50,000 subscribers to more than 200,000 subscribers. And along the way, I built 2 7-figure businesses. And I share that with you because I know what you're going through. I've been discouraged. I've changed pace a million times. I listened to the person that said this was going to be the new big thing. You should do this. I'm the same person when it started working out. It's the same amount of effort when it started working out. The only difference was that I stopped confusing YouTube and I stopped confusing the viewers who would show up on my channel. When you change topics constantly, YouTube doesn't see you as versatile or multi-talented like I believed so many years ago. It sees you as confusing, which keeps you unseen and unknown. It has to regather the data. It has to retest audiences. It has to rebuild trust. It is super frustrating. All the while, you're keeping your reach super small because you think the next big thing might be the next big thing. Which brings me to one mental shift that unlocked everything for me, and it's probably the opposite of what you've been told. You don't actually build an audience on YouTube. You earn an introduction. That's it. That's the shift. Most creators think, I need to build an audience from scratch. I need to grind until people notice me. And that's exhausting. And that's not how any of this works. Your audience already exists. Like I said, right now, they're out there. They're watching videos in the same exact space that you're in. YouTube's job is to introduce you. Your job is to make that introduction as easy as possible by giving YouTube clear, consistent, and undeniable signals. Now, here's what you need to ask yourself. If someone lands on your channel, would they instantly know what you're about and who you serve? If the answer is anything other than absolutely yes, That's what you need to work on next. Now, if you want to take your channel to the next level, watch this video next. If you haven't yet, click that little subscribe button to join the channel family here. Let me know what questions you have that I can answer in future videos. And until next time, I appreciate you watching.